How are we doing there, boys and girls? Manthieus here, and welcome to the last part of our 4-part mini-series on getting up and running with TradeSkillMaster. First 3 episodes we covered a lot. We covered how to make the groups, we covered some of the price sources that are important to know about and how to use them in TradeSkillMaster. We learned how to put together some very simple and some very sophisticated operations where needed. But now it's time to put it all into practice. We've set up our profile. We've got it all looking smooth. If you've been working along with me, you'll probably have something look similar to this. For the purpose of this, we were focusing heavily on leatherworking. We were breaking down the leatherworking profession, but of course, whichever profession you're doing, you'll have it all up and running. And of course, if you're one of the very generous goblins out there that supports me on Patreon, you might have it looking exactly like this. But now it's time to put this into practice. We've got the operations done. We've got the groups all done. How do we actually go about using this? Once you've set it up, you obviously want to, put your time and effort into making some gold. So what we're going to do in this video is go through a day in the life of a gold making goblin that's using TSM. So the very first thing we need to do is work out if there's anything we need to craft. We're obviously trying to craft and sell things on the auction house. We only want to be crafting things that are profitable. So the first thing to do, open up your profession. You'll see the default UI window pop up like this, and we want to head over to TSM groups. Now, you could, in theory, select everything and just restock everything, but of course that is going to make a humongous crafting queue. It's sensible to break it down into manageable chunks. Now, I tend to do it one profession at a time. If you have a character that has 2 professions, you could do maybe 2 professions at a time, but I wouldn't recommend you do much more than that, as there's some performance issues if you just try and do too much at once. But let's do leatherworking then. Once you select the profession, you could in theory just restock a single group if you wanted to, but we'll do the entire profession of leatherworking for today. Once you've selected the groups you want to restock, hit the restock button. Let it do its magic in the background, and moments later you should get this crafting queue pop up. What does this mean then? Well, this means that there's a whole bunch of items that, based upon the rules or operations that we've set, there's a whole bunch of stuff we need to craft. There's lots of stuff that we're potentially missing. Now, because I actively use this character for gold making, it's not showing everything that it possibly could do because I've already got a lot of stuff on the auction house. I deliberately left leatherworking alone for a few days, so hopefully this list would populate nicely, and it appears that it's doing well. We can see here then there's a bunch of items that it wants to craft that it already has the materials for to do so. If they're showing in green, you can just smash through them nice and quickly. If they show in yellow, it means that you've got some of the materials but not all of them, or you've got at least enough materials to craft some of the total quantity. And if they show in red, you've got some work to do. This means that there's probably at least 1, maybe 2 items that you're missing to be able to craft that item. You're going to need to go do a bunch of stuff. You're going to need to gather some materials. Down the bottom we can see just how long it's going to take you to actually craft all these items. How long are you going to have to be spamming that craft next button to complete this list? It's about 6 minutes of actual crafting. But of course we've got a little bit of gathering of materials to do by the looks of things first. Estimated cost. This is helpful to know. Now, of course, this could cost me. Luckily, I've got a bunch of the materials already. But if you hadn't bought any of the materials, there's a potential cost of crafting all of these items of 241,000 gold. But the nice thing is if we were to then go out and sell all of these items on the auction house, there's a potential profit in it for over 400,000 gold. That is very worthwhile spending 6 minutes of your time. Now, obviously, you've had a lot of time and effort to build your TSM profile to start with, and of course, we've got to do a little bit of gathering of materials first. But guess what? TradeSkillMaster can help us do all the gathering as well. If we hit the gathering tab at the top, let's explain this interface just real quickly. You can select the crafter. Now, we've done only 1 profession, so that's pre-selected for us. And you can see all of the stuff that we're missing. It gives you a location to go and get all of that stuff as well. did I mention TradeSkillMaster's very clever? You can see over on the side here the source priority list. This is how TradeSkillMaster goes about suggesting to you where you should get your stuff from. You can, if you wish, reorder this list however you want. The way that it works is it looks at the first item that it's missing, and then it looks through this list on a priority basis. So it starts at the top, and let's look at a lithium ore, for example. It would start at the top and it would look at, well, can I buy a lithium ore from a vendor? TSM doesn't believe you can buy it from a vendor, which is true, you can't, and so it skips to the next one. Then it will look at the guild bank. It knows where all of the items you have in your guild bank. If it doesn't see any in your guild bank, it will move to the next one. Now in this scenario, alts. It's now suggesting that we go get it from some of our alts. So it must have found some lithium ore on one of our other characters, and it's suggesting to us that we log on to that character and send that lithium ore over to us because we now need it for the purpose of crafting. It does this for every item, and it works out exactly what you need and where you need to go to get it. Very, very clever. Once it's worked out exactly where it gets everything from, hit the button at the bottom, open task list, and this is our little to-do list. This is what we now need to follow to get everything sorted, right? Let's take a little bit of a look at how this appears then. So what you want to do with the task list is you kind of want to follow this in order. It's suggesting to us that we actually make some of these novice crafters marks and crafters marks 2 and even crafters marks of the chained isle. It's suggesting that we make these with jewel crafting. This is another example of TradeSkillMaster being very smart. We have 2 professions. Now, of course, we're trying to restock on leatherworking at the moment. But these optional reagents, it's cheaper for us to make them with jewel crafting, so it's suggesting we do just that. So we can hit the open button. Once the profession is opened, that open button will turn to craft, and we just hit the craft button. And it's doing it all in the background for us. It's using the jewel crafting to make the item for us, and we can click the craft button again. It's going to make our crafters marks too. When it's done those, now you see it's telling us that we need more materials now. We still need to make the crafters marks of the chained isle, but we're missing some materials. Now we should probably continue on with our gathering, grabbing some stuff up, to get this list all ticked off, to basically complete our little to-do list to get crafting. I'm going to go off, I'm going to grab me some items. I'll meet you back in a few minutes when I've gathered everything and we can continue on. Back in 2. Okay, so one thing I should probably show you very quickly is if it asks you to go to the auction house to buy some either intermediate items or some materials, TradeSkillMaster also takes control of this a little bit as well. If you open the auctioneer, you can see that any item that it asks you to buy from the auction house, it then presents you with this scan all button. We hit the scan all button and it'll instantly search for the item that we need. It's asking us to buy Seabreeze saddle blankets. I'm going to be honest with you, I think buying them at this price is relatively expensive. I probably should be crafting these myself, but it appears that I don't have enough materials to even craft them myself, and just for the purpose of this video I will just, I'll just buy them anyway. But normally you'd probably want to buy them at a better price than that. It will tell you how many you need to buy and you can just choose to do so, or if you wish you can ignore TradeSkillMaster's advice and go off and craft a couple of them yourself if needs be. But I thought that was a worthwhile point to show you. Let me grab some of these rest of the materials though and we'll get back to it. One additional thing to point out is if it suggests that you go to a alt of yours to gather some materials, because TradeSkillMaster works across many of your characters, the task list will update. You see, it asked me to log on to this character and it's now telling me that it would be worthwhile for me to go to get some items from my bank. So if I actually go over to the bank here, I open the bank, it will then give me the option to move the items that I've already got in the bank, and we can click move. It's moved over some coarse leather bardings. It's also moved over a bunch of lithium ore. And now the task list has updated itself again. It will now tell me that it's suggested to send those items over to my main character who we're in the process of gathering all the items with. So head over to the mailbox, open the mailbox, and your task manager, task list updates again, and you just click the button and it'll automatically send them where it needs to be. Now we can switch to another one of our character to gather another one of the materials. Alrighty, boys and girls, so there we are. I've finally ticked off everything on our materials list of stuff to gather. For reference, this has taken me not very long at all, even jumping between a couple of alts, heading to the auction house, buying a couple of materials that I was missing, crafting some intermediate items. I'm pretty much, for reference, now I know the video is going to be shorter than this because I'll cut bits out, but we're still only 20 minutes in for me starting the very beginning of this video. It's taken me not all that long at all. Now we've cleared off the gathering list, we just head over to our crafting and we continuously keep hitting this craft next button. From this point on, TradeSkillMaster takes over. It will, one smart thing that it does is this list is actually ordered in a very specific way as well. The items that are the most profitable for you to make get pushed towards the top of the list. So even if you don't get to fully gather all of the materials that you need, it will still prioritize the stuff that's potentially going to make you even more gold. Now, as you work your way all the way through this list, the gold on some of the items becomes very minuscule in a lot of cases, but they're still worthwhile crafting and putting on the auction house. Give me another 6 minutes for me to continuously smash this craft next button, and then we'll work out what we have to do from there on. Back in a few. Okay then, so with a good portion of the list already pre-crafted, I've stumbled across an issue which is, for me at least, inventory space. I never have enough inventory space. My bags are always full of too much trash. But I guess at this point we can start listing some of this stuff up on the auction house. I conveniently happen to still be in the auction house from buying a few materials, so hey, guess what? We open the auction house, we make sure we have the TradeSkillMaster interface selected, and this is where we can start posting stuff. You'll see every single item in my bags, because there's a lot of trash in my bags, there's no operations assigned to a bunch of it. But let's select leatherworking off our list. Let's just select just leatherworking, and because we've assigned auctioning operations to everything already, we don't have to think about this. All we have to do is press the button post scan. Now what it will do is it will search through every item in our bags, find out what group it's in, find out what operation is attached to it, and as you can see already from my operations, I tried to keep them relatively generic, and now all it's saying is, right, post away, get posting. Post, 41 items to list on the auction house. We can smash through this list and then we're done, boys and girls. That is literally it. That is the day in a life of a TradeSkillMaster profession crafting goblin. I'm going to finish the little video series there. I actually post most of my stuff on a separate character than my main one, so I'll send them off. But the process is the same. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this little TSM tutorial series. I hope it's useful to you, and I hope that you guys are able to go off and make a whole bunch of gold with it as well. Finally, if you enjoy this, remember to give the video a like, subscribe if you're new around here, and if you enjoyed this video series, consider being a Patreon. You get half of the work done for you, and you just get to reap in all of the gold. I've been Manthieus, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.